Generally, people don't care about their physical health and ignore the pain most of the time. We think that this pain is just something minor and that it will mend by itself. This belief is very common, but this story is another case. A man died after suffering a toothache several days. The reason of his death was later discovered by the doctors. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell to be notified when new videos are uploaded. Today's story is about the 24-year-old Kyle Willis, a single father of a 6-year-old lovely daughter. As many of us, Kyle didn't like to visit a doctor. He didn't even go to the dentist often because he thought his teeth were healthy. He was a hard-working person, but unfortunately he had no dental insurance, which was absolutely a bad idea, as our teeth and good oral hygiene contribute significantly to our health. For 2 weeks, Kyle had been suffering from a toothache, but he ignored the problem and thought that the pain would go away by time, but it didn't. The pain persisted and Kyle had to visit the dentist. It was urgent. After the consultation, the dentist told Kyle that one of his wisdom teeth was inflamed, which caused that much pain, and that it should be removed. Kyle's situation didn't allow him to afford the treatment or insurance. However, the pain increased and at one point his whole head was sore and his face swelled up, so he went straight to the emergency room. And they prescribed him some antibiotics and painkillers, but he didn't have money to pay for the medicine. After some thought, he decided to take only the painkillers, but it wasn't the right decision. After taking the painkillers, the pain disappeared and he felt relieved. He thought it was all over, but this was just the beginning and it would even become worse. The pain disappeared, which was nice, but the inflammation was still there. He needed the antibiotics, which he couldn't afford. Meanwhile, the inflammation in his molar continued to spread, causing his brain to swell up. Eventually there was so much pressure on his skull that Kyle died. And that because of an inflamed molar. After Carl died and left his daughter alone, it was tough for the family. They couldn't imagine that anyone could die from dental inflammation. However, Kyle wasn't the first to die from it. There are lots of other people who make the same mistake and don't visit the dentist regularly. It's often difficult for people on low incomes to pay for dental treatments. For them, it is easier to ignore the pain. They don't realize that oil problems can cause more severe conditions. We can avoid this by acting faster. We sometimes have some tooth pain and it often passes, but you don't know how bad it is when you don't visit the dentist. We all have our home remedies when we have tooth pain, but no matter how good our intentions are, only a professional dentist can provide the right care. Dental inflammation and rotten teeth are the most treatable and preventable diseases in the world. Yet, many people die from this every year. Why do you think this happens? What causes it? Poor Kyle could still be alive if he had paid more attention to his teeth and visited the dentist regularly. It's quite understandable that he didn't have the money, and even if he had access to free dental clinics, it wouldn't have saved him because you often have to wait a very long time before you get help in those clinics. If there is inflammation, you usually can't wait at all because it spreads so quickly, and that's very dangerous. What is your opinion about dentists? Do you like going there or do you prefer to avoid it? Let us know in the comments. A father with tooth pain. Vadim and Natalia were a young married couple with 2 children. They had been together for 4 years and had purchased a house. Vadim was 26 years old and Natalia 22. They lived very happily together and it seemed as if they could take on the world. They were healthy and rarely went to the doctor or the dentist. They never felt sick, so there was no need to visit the doctor or the dentist. Although the family was happy, they had some financial problems and Vadim decided to work additional hours. Vadim was a lorry driver and often away from home. Natalia then stayed at home with the children, and every time he left, Natalia had a bad feeling in her stomach. She felt weird because she was worried about him. But the last time this feeling was much stronger. Vadim was going to New York on this occasion. He would stay away for a while and he had packed his suitcase. The day he left, he kissed his wife and children goodbye and went on his journey. Natalia stood outside the doorway and was unable to suppress the awkward feeling in her lower abdomen. Something didn't feel right. She felt that something terrible was about to happen. She tried to ignore the feeling and reassured herself. She told herself that she felt like this because she missed Vadim and that nothing would happen. She was worried for a moment, but then she ignored it. The next day, Vadim called her. She was happy to hear his voice. He told her that he had some tooth pain, but nothing too bad, and he was sure it would pass soon. But Natalia immediately started to worry again. It was only one painful tooth, but Natalia couldn't get rid of that weird feeling in her lower abdomen this time, and hearing about the tooth pain only made it worse. Vadim quickly assured her that he would go to the dentist and that the pain would pass quickly. Natalia was restless and worried he rarely had health problems. Could it be something bad this time? Natalia couldn't relax. She only thought about Vadim. He had been gone for 2 days now, and she felt sorry that she wasn't there with him to check out how bad the pain was and what his tooth looked like. She couldn't help him. She waited in suspense for his next phone call. Hopefully he had good news then. When Radim noticed that the pain in his tooth persisted, he stopped in Oklahoma and visited a dentist. The pain was unbearable at that point, but the dentist assured him that it was just inflamed and that there wasn't any need to pull a tooth out. The dentist then cleaned his teeth thoroughly and prescribed antibiotics. Virgin then called the Talia to give her the good news, and she felt relieved. She was just overprotective and couldn't imagine that anything might happen to her beloved husband. They talked about Video's return and what they were planning to do after he got home. It was a light-hearted conversation, and Natalia went to bed feeling reassured. She didn't know that this was the last time she had spoken to her husband. She was looking forward to his return and had no idea that something would happen that would cause her world to collapse. A few days passed and Vadim was still in pain. Was it possible that the cleaning didn't help, or that it wasn't done correctly? He didn't take his antibiotics on time. Could that be a cause of the pain? The pain now spread throughout his mouth. This wasn't normal anymore. Something was wrong, and his body tried to tell him that. Obviously he had severe oral inflammation, and within a short period he developed an intense fever, but Vigem still thought it would pass soon and didn't want to worry Natalia. He didn't tell her anything about the fever and called his brother to pick him up because he was too sick to drive on his own. He was unable to work, and all he wanted was to be with his family. Vadim felt so bad and began to doubt that he would recover. 4 days later, Natalia received a phone call. She thought it was Vadim and was curious to know how he felt though, but it wasn't Vadim who made the call, although the call was about him. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so I can tell you who is calling. The call came from a hospital where Vadim was the infection, had spread through his throat to his lungs. As a result, fluid had accumulated in his lungs and his heart suddenly stopped beating. The doctor ended the conversation by apologizing because they had tried very hard to save his life. They also offered their condolences, and then the call ended. Natalia couldn't believe it. The bad news didn't hit her yet. Her husband was too young to abandon her. This was a bad dream, and she would wake up in a cold sweat, but it wasn't a dream, it was reality. Had she known in advance in her subconscious that something like this would happen? Is that why she had such a strange feeling when he left? Natalia was sad and heartbroken. It seemed as a part of her had been taken away. At the age of 22, Natalia became a widow and a single mother. Now she had to face all the financial problems on her own. Luckily she had friends and family who cared about her, and they set up a website to raise money for Natalia. Within a few hours they had already collected a considerable amount of money. People expressed their understanding and compassion for the single mother, and they were happy to help. After Natalia lost her husband due to dental infection, she wanted to make others aware of the dangers. She couldn't save her husband, but if she told his story she might be able to help others and prevent them from experiencing the agony she felt when she lost her husband. How seriously do you take your oral care? Toothache often seems innocent, yet we have to take it seriously when we feel it. No matter how much it hurts. What are your thoughts about this story? Are you thinking about making an appointment with the dentist right now? Share with us your opinion of dentists in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell and never miss a video.